Let's face it, life can be tough. And if you haven't already, there's gonna come a point in your life where it's gonna feel like everything around you is crashing down, everything is burning down. Your relationships might be in turmoil, your health might begin to disintegrate, you might have financial woes, your business might be failing. Sooner or later in life, there's gonna come a point where it feels like everything around you is just going into complete chaos. And everybody goes through it. I don't care who you are, if you haven't gone through it already, chances are you're going to go through it at some stage in your life. But what do you do then? What do you do when your whole life seems to be crashing and burning all around you, and it just feels that no matter what you do, there's no way of getting out of it? That you're sitting in the ashes of what used to be your life, that everything is burnt around and you're completely distraught and destroyed. You see, there are two types of people in this world. One, those who use these circumstances, these situations as a permission slip of sorts in order to lay down in the dust and the ash and the turmoil and just give up. Or there are those who use situations like that. There are those who use these situations, these experiences in life, in order to rise up from the ashes, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, using these circumstances, using these experiences, learning from them, growing from them, and becoming more powerful because they went through those experiences and those scenarios and situations in life. Now the question is, who do you want to be? In which category do you want to find yourself? And sure, a lot of us say, I want to be in category B. Put me in the second category where I can become stronger, I can become more than what I was. But how many truly believe it? How many truly believe that they can not only rise from the ashes, but surpass their previous lives, their previous experiences, their previous quality of life that they were in? How many can actually say that and stick through long enough, be determined and disciplined long enough in order to become more than what they were, in order to become that much better because of the experiences that they've been through? Who can actually say that? Well, I'm going to share with you a simple cycle, a simple formula. And it entails 4 steps, 4 pieces of the cycle that you can follow in order to not only rise from the ashes of what used to be your life, this destruction, this turmoil, this dilemma that you've been through. If everything around you has burned and been destroyed, I have good news for you. It's the perfect opportunity for you to start over, to start again better this time. Now I know it's the old cliche of be better than what you were, and things can only go better, and you have to look up to see hell, but that's fine. Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. And in a quote that I recently shared, I said that if you're going to rise out of the ashes like a phoenix, remember that a phoenix needs to self-combust. It needs to be completely destroyed. It needs to give up its previous life completely in order to be reborn anew, in order to become something better than what it was, to be stronger, to be that much more than what it was. Now, the technique or the cycle or the tool that I'm going to teach you today is called the OODA loop. Now, OODA is O-O-D-A, and it stands for observe, orientate, decide, and act. And we're going to look at each of those 4 steps individually and separately so that you can understand exactly where in the process you are, where to begin, how to follow through, and how to ultimately rise from the ashes and become so much more than what you even imagined yourself capable of. So let's start looking at that and go more into depth with that. Now, the OODA loop formula was developed by an Air Force colonel called John Boyd. And this formula is used even till today in all military situations. You know, when there's warfare, when there's serious things going on, when people are going to war, and destroying the opponent and pushing through in impossible situations and circumstances, the OODA loop is what they use. And we're starting with observing. Now, in order to know where you're going, you first need to know where you are. And to know where you are, you need to observe. You need to brutally and honestly look at where you are, on what's occurring, on what is the situation that you're currently in. And not sugarcoat it, not make it, oh, it's not that bad, or whatever the case might be, but brutally, honestly looking at and observing where you are. And the important thing is to, while you're observing, to look at it objectively. In other words, take a step back and really look at where you are in your situation. Because here's the thing that many of us do. Everybody wants to get back up after they've fallen down. And so oftentimes when we've fallen down, when we're lying there in the dust, when we just got our asses handed to us, it's a thing of, I'm going to get up, I'm going to continue fighting. And so many times we approach a situation with the same mentality that got us there in the first place. You know, doing the same thing, expecting different results. A lot of us are crazy like that, right? Now, observing and looking at the situation, really taking the time to realize, how did I get here in the first place? What are the circumstances, the actions, the situations that got me here to begin with? How can I learn from this experience? But we're going to get to that in a moment. But looking at the situation, truly observing where I am, and understanding and deciding that this is how I got here, what can I take from this? What can I look around and observe my circumstances? What needs to change for this to not happen again? If it's not the situation or the environment that needs to change, what about me needs to change? How can I do things differently from this point onwards? How can I be better? And all of that goes into the self-reflection, the observing aspects of the OODA loop formula. So you're observing, you're brutally and honestly and clearly looking and observing from an objective point of view, taking a step back and objectively looking at it, removing emotion from it, being logical, being decisive, looking at, okay, this is where I am, this is what occurred, this is the situation I'm truly in, and this is how I got here. These are the actions that got me to this point. That is the first step. Because if you can brutally and honestly put yourself in that situation and observe it in that capacity, now you're removing yourself. You begin the process of removing yourself from it temporarily so that you can get a broader aspect of observing and seeing, this is where I am. Now you know where you are. So after understanding where you are, that's where you move into the second step of the OODA loop formula, the OODA loop cycle. So observing is the first part. After you've observed, you move into orientation. Now, when I say orient, that's the second O. O, observe. Second O, orient. I'm orienting myself. I'm looking at, in the situation that I'm in, which direction do I want to go into? It's basically a thing of, you're asking yourself questions. Questions like, what resources do I have? What resources do I need? And looking at these resources that I have and that I need, what are the assets that I require in order to get out of this? What are the steps that I need to take? Who can I speak to? Whose advice can I ask? Where do I turn to for help if I need help? What is it that I need to do next? So all of those questions is you orienting and changing your orientation towards a situation. You've observed yourself, you know where you are. Now you're orienting yourself, how am I going to get out of this? Where am I going to go with this? So after orienting yourself, now it's a thing of, you're going to start asking yourself brutal questions. Now with the brutal questions that I'm talking about, it's, what is this experience teaching me? I didn't just get here, I made certain choices and decisions that got me to this place in my life. What is it trying to teach me? What can I learn from this? Why am I here in the first place? Which decisions did I take to get me here? How could I have made those decisions differently? What other options did I have available to me that I realize now that I didn't realize at the point when I made those decisions. So all of these brutal, honest questions is you changing your mindset. You're orienting yourself and changing your orientation with regards to the situation where you're in. So you've observed, you took a step back, you've observed, now you're in it, you're realizing you're in it, you're being brutally honest, and you're looking at it with a mentality of, this is trying to teach me something. I can become empowered through this when I apply my mind to it. So by applying my mind and asking better questions, what is this trying to teach me? What can I gain from this? What can I learn from this? How can I change this scenario, this situation, this experience, and turn it to my benefit? Those are the questions that you ask yourself brutally, honestly, and look for the answers. Keep asking those questions until you find the answers that will get you out of it. One thing with regards to the orientation of it, remember you're still observing in this point. You're not prioritizing. It's not, this is what I need to do first, this is what I need to do second. We're not there yet. For now, you're looking at it from an aspect of, this is where I am, these are the resources that I have, these are the resources that I need, these are the actions that I could possibly take, this is how I'm going to get out of the situation. But there's no prioritization going on just yet, right? That's where the next step comes in, right? Decide. Because so many people, the mentality of analysis by paralysis by analysis, right? I'm sitting in a situation and I'm analyzing and I'm analyzing and I'm analyzing and I'm going over it more and more and more. And the more I go over it and the more I go through it, I get paralyzed. I don't know what to do first. I don't know what's the first step and where do I go, and oh, it's so overwhelming. And many times I hear clients and I hear people who contact me, Tony, this is where I am and what do I do next and where do I go, and it's so much and so overwhelming. Just start. It's like the old Nike saying, just do it. Take action. But we're going to get to the action step in just a moment. For now, we are deciding. But what are we deciding about? What exactly is there that we need to decide about? Well, it's basically that we know a couple of things. One, we know that you're in a difficult situation, right? Two, you know that you know what's going on around you, you've observed, you've orientated yourself within it, and you've also, because of the observation, you've come to certain ideas of how you're going to get out of it, what you need to do to get out of it. You've brainstormed, you've looked at resources, you've reached out for assistance, for coaching, for help, and you've gotten that input. So now that you've gotten all of that, you begin to ask yourself, okay, now that I'm here, what is it that I want to accomplish? What is my outcome? Where am I going? What do I want to achieve from this? Where am I going with this? So basically what you're needing to ask yourself is, what is my POA, my plan of action? If I'm going to get out of this, the method that I'm going to use to get out of this, what is my plan of action? And again, it's the paralysis mentality. Oh, but there's so many things that I can do and I don't even know where to start. Simple. Ask yourself this important question. What is the one thing that I can do right now? The one thing that's going to make the biggest impact with regards to my situation. Just the one thing that's going to make the biggest impact. Not what more resources do I need before I can take it. Not what more information I require. Not what more help I need. Right now, right where you are, with what you have. What is the one thing, the one step that you can do, the one step that you can take that will make the biggest impact in the situation that you're in? Because once you take that step, now you're taking action, right? You're beginning to take action. You've decided. This is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going. This is the first step that I need to take, right? And after you've taken that step, after you've moved on to that step, the next thing you ask yourself is, now that I've moved on to that step, what is the next thing that I can do? What is the next step that I can take that will get me the biggest amount of input, the biggest amount of a return on my emotional and energetic investment, ROI, right? For the business people out there. So you've observed, this is my situation, I've taken a step back, I look at where I am. You've orientated yourself, these are the resources that I have, the resources that I need, this is the direction that I choose to go, this is the outcome that I'm looking for, and you've decided, decided. This is the one thing that I can do that's going to make the biggest impact to get me out of this situation. The one leap that I can take that'll start rising me out of these ashes that I'm finding myself in. And then the last step is action. Just do it. Like I said, Nike, right? Just do it. Take that step. Take the action. Get out of the analysis paralysis mentality. You've already analyzed. You've already looked at the situation. And now it's time for you to take the action. Take the action, direct it into the direction where you want to go. Align your mind, align your actions, align your thoughts, align your positive intention, if you will, with that, because it's all about intent. If that's where I'm going, if that's where I want to end up, everything needs to be aligned for it. Maybe not out the gate. Maybe one or two things might not be aligned just yet, but as you're moving, as you're taking the steps and taking the action, you'll find yourself moving towards it sooner and quicker and easier. And once you've done that, once you've taken the consistent action, it's not over. Because this is the problem that a lot of people do. They think, okay, I'm out of the woods. I've removed myself, I've risen out of the ashes, and now I'm home free. You're not. Because the OODA loop is called a loop for a reason. A loop. It brings itself back to the beginning, like the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail, goes back to the beginning. And it's the same way in life. If you just keep doing and taking these steps, and any situation that comes across your life, and you take the OODA loop and you apply the formula right now in every area in your life, not only will you continue rising, not only will you continue becoming better than what you currently are and keep evolving and keep growing and keep becoming more, but you'll also strengthen yourself to the point where those pitfalls, those dilemmas, those challenging situations might not even arise, because you'll keep lifting yourself above them the whole time. It's, like I say, it's a cycle, it's cyclical, it keeps running. And if you keep running and keep applying it in your daily life, more and more in every area, in every situation, you'll keep rising out of the ashes. You'll fly so high above it that it will not be able to keep you down. You'll keep rising and keep growing from it. And every situation that comes into your life, you will never see as failure. It'll simply be feedback for how you can change, actions that you can take, observing, orientating, deciding, and taking the action that will keep moving you forward. You will keep growing, you will keep evolving, you will keep becoming better and smarter and stronger and more evolved in your thinking, more evolved in your life, because you're applying yourself to your life. You're not a spectator in it. You're merely taking a step back, looking at it, stepping in, and then applying the desired action aligned with your intent to get you to where you want to go. So if you found value in this, if you apply these tools or this tool, these techniques in your life, and you start seeing the results, because I know once you apply them, truly apply them, you will see results. There's no doubt in my mind about that. OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. If it works in military war situations, how about you wage war on the limitations in your life? How about you wage war on the limited thinking that you find yourself in, where I'm not good enough, and can I get out of this, and oh, woe is me. Wage war on those thoughts. Break through those limitations. Set yourself free, because you deserve better. You know you do. All of us do. So set yourself free. Break through those limitations. Because once you do that, you'll realize there is so much more out there for you. So much more that you are capable of that you haven't given yourself permission to experience just yet. But by following this formula, you'll keep breaking through the limitations. You'll keep rising. You'll keep becoming more than what you ever thought possible. So if you find value in this, please feel free to share the video, send it on to friends and family members, subscribe to the channel. You can also find me on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, where I have the podcast, the audio version of this going out. If you want and you want to get in touch and you want to sign up for some of the online courses that we have coming up to really give you so much more in-depth knowledge that you can start applying in your daily life to get you that much more ahead, that much more rising up and empowered, then please go to my website, tonywake.com. Send me a message, have a browse through there to see what we have to offer, and I look forward to meeting with you either on the online training that we'll be doing, or once the whole pandemic has lifted and we can actually get in touch and in contact in person. Maybe I'll see you at one of the live events that we'll be having. Either way, join the Tony Wake family. Reach out. We're here to assist. We're here to empower you to be more than what you thought you could be. Because I have faith and I know and I see your potential. Because everybody can live better than what they currently are when they apply themselves to their goals and their destination in life. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, if you're listening to the audio, and head on over to tonywake.com, send me a message on there, subscribe to the newsletter because we have regular newsletters going out so that you can stay up to date with all the events and all the online courses and training that's going out, where we take our family members and we raise them up, we lift them up out of the ashes, and we help them live truly powerful, empowered, wonderful and fulfilling lives to the best of their capabilities. I'm Tony Wake, and thank you for tuning in.